In Lorcana, you make a deck with your favorite Disney characters, items, locations, and songs, and try to be the first to collect 20 lore. There are 4 main types of cards in this game: characters, items, locations, and actions. Let's break down the different parts of each card. On every card, the top corner shows how much it costs to play it, and the bottom section has the card's ability, if any. Below the ability is the flavor text, which doesn't affect gameplay, but adds a fun element to the card. Characters have strength and willpower, or in other words, attack and defense that are used when challenging characters. Locations also have a willpower, but no strength. This is the amount of lore your character receives when they quest. Some locations also have lore that you gain at the start of each turn. And since you can move characters to locations, this is the cost to move a character there. Characters also fall into categories that can be named in certain abilities, like how Snow White makes the 7 dwarfs cheaper to play. Characters, items, and locations are played in front of you and stay in the game until something removes them. Actions are a one-time use only. Trigger the effect, and then discard the card. There's also a subtype of action cards called songs. The only difference here is that a character of equal or greater cost to the song's cost can exert to use the song's ability for free instead of paying the ink. Speaking of exerting, let's discuss the difference between ready and exerted. Face-up cards are considered ready, and cards that are sideways are exerted. You can exert a card for many reasons, which we will discuss later, but once a card is exerted, it won't ready until the start of your next turn. Unless you have a card that says otherwise. Which brings up the point that with any of the rules we discuss in this video, a card's ability is allowed to go against them. Next, let's discuss how you pay for cards. The currency of this game is called ink. Your ink is face-down cards in your inkwell. Each card counts as 1 ink, and at any point during your turn, you can play a card from your hand to your inkwell once per turn. When you put a card face down in your ink, it is no longer that character, item, action, or location, it is just 1 ink. Your ink can be used to pay the cost of a card. For example, you can exert 5 inks to play this beast. Not all cards can be placed in your inkwell. They must have this symbol to be played as ink. Any cards without this symbol cannot be used as ink. Starting your turn. At the start of each turn, you will ready your exerted cards, check for and resolve any start of turn abilities, gain lore for any locations in play, and draw a card. On your turn, you can take any of these actions as many times as you want in any order. Let's go over playing a card first. When you play a character card, pay its cost and place it underneath your other cards. This reminds you that you can't quest, challenge, etc. with that character this turn. On this turn, the only thing this card can do is use an ability that happens without exerting them, like one that triggers when they are played. Items and locations can be used on the turn they're played, so you can place them on that top row. Locations come into play horizontally and are considered exerted, meaning they can be challenged. Actions and songs don't stay on the board and are just discarded after using them. For any characters you played on a previous turn, now on this turn you can use them for the rest of the actions. Questing. You will exert your character and gain lore equal to the lore icons on the card. Challenging. You can choose to challenge an opposing character that is exerted. If a character is ready, you cannot challenge them. Select an opposing character and the character you will challenge with. Exert your character and then both will receive damage according to the other's strength. If the damage is equal to or greater than its willpower, that character is banished. If it is less, the card stays in play and the damage tokens remain on the card. The next time this character is challenged, the damage is added to the current damage. Moving to a location. On your turn, you can move any of your characters in play to a location by paying its move cost. There is no limit to how many characters you can have at a location. Locations can give abilities to cards that are there, or some cards have abilities that trigger when they are moved to or at a location. When challenging, you can choose to challenge an exerted character at a location, or the location itself. Locations take damage just like characters, but don't do any damage back in the challenge. Like characters, if the damage is equal to or greater than the willpower, the location is banished. Any characters on the location stay in play, you only banish the location. Now that you know the basics, let's discuss what to do to start the game. Each player will draw 7 cards. You can alter your starting hand by selecting any number of cards to replace. Set them aside and draw back to 7 cards. Then reshuffle your deck with the cards you got rid of. Because the first player has a slight advantage, they won't draw a card for their first turn. Then, following the rules we discussed, players keep taking turns until someone reaches 20 or more lore. Then the game is over. For additional how to play resources, decklist ideas, and help finding where to buy Lorcana, head to brimleygames.com/Lorcana.